Good morning back to the Beach House channel. Hope you're all well. Another check-in. Is that 4 in a month? Gotta be careful, you guys might think I like you. Anyway, what are we doing today? I just want to quickly check in and give you an update on the basement downstairs. Show you some of the bits we're doing at the moment. We're hoping, fingers crossed, to potentially pour this Thursday. I think Thursday's a bit too soon. I think we should potentially go for next week because the plumber still hasn't come and done his part yet. But let me take you down and show you where we are at the moment and what we're going to be doing today. And off the back of that, potentially we might be proceeding forward with Thursday. So before I start gassing, we've got the like on the tongue already. Don't forget to give me some comments below. I like them, likes and subscribes, all that sort of stuff. But more importantly for me, comments is greatly appreciated, and it's also nice to know your thoughts and stuff like that. So and thanks to all the guys that have been commenting. I won't mention all of you because there's loads of you. It's great that you're obviously dialogue, etc. And thanks for some of the feedback I've been getting on some of the things like the windows and the doors, etc. Of which, by the way, are still open and okay at the moment. Okay, let me take you downstairs and let me show you what we're actually doing. Okay, so the electrician's already set out most of the stuff which I've already shown you on the videos anyway. Big bad DeWalt is coming out with a big blade because we've got some cutting to do. One of the downsides, as I've said to you before, we've got to take the hot and cold from over here. This is the only wall that we could take the hot and cold down because, as I said in the last videos, this was all pre-poured because it was going to be a filled basement. So that was the only empty cores that we could run the hot and cold down. So what I wanted to take them across here at a 90-degree angle, i.e. whatever the measurement is from one corner to the pipes on behind versus here, exactly the same. So I can, if I ever need to drill into the floor later, we know where the hot and cold is. However, as you can now see, we've got a spider's web of electrical conduits going everywhere. So we've got to decide now, is the sleeve going to go above or under the electrical conduits, number one. And number two, they've actually used what we dug out here for an electric point, which is a bit of a pain in the ass because obviously it means that, well, we're concerned we're now in a situation where we can't really use that. I mean, you can, but obviously taking hot and colds up for an electrical conduit is not ideal. So we've decided to take it at the moment slightly diagonal from over there to here and come up where the actual sink waste is going to be. So we'll have to widen that a little bit more now, even though we went quite wide. The actual, we've done it so the 1.5 inch pipe is actually coming out in the center of that hole. So we're going to have to widen that one slightly. So that's one thing we're going to have to do. Second of all, obviously the plumber's going to be coming tomorrow to fit all of this stuff. So as you can see, I've got the fittings out ready. So the pipe work's there sitting there with the joins, with the elbows, etc. Over here, we've got the same thing. There's some 45s here. We're going to be taking this pipe up. This is crappy, thin pipe. And by the way, if anybody does construction build for you, wants to start suggesting you put standard thin pipework in your floor, certainly if it's outside and it's drainage or it's sewage, sack them immediately. Normally an indication is anything with like this horrible little pink line on it. That means it's really thin, really cheap. And as you can see, you've got the lines on here where the BRC was for a start. So what we would normally put in, which I would recommend you put in, is a schedule 40. So you'll see SDR 32 or I think SCH, I think it is 40. You want something that's got some thickness to it so that with pressure and weight, it doesn't fold and break and rupture. Which in my garden, the builder that I was using used all of this crap and I had so many problems and I still didn't replace some of it with the Schedule 40 stuff, which I bloody should have. Now I know what I know, I certainly would have done that. So anyway, back to over here. This bit's going to be replaced. This whole piece from the join there, all the way along is going to be that Schedule 32 piece over there. 45s will come in. This will be where the sink's going to be. So we're going to have to now cut into that beam where that yellow is. It looks like a willy, but it's not. We'll have to cut that out. That will sit down because basically this can't be cut out because it's a supporting beam. The toilet and the sink units will butt up against this wall. So I want from the back to that to be fed. So we'll come up with an elbow. So it will look roughly like that. So the waste of the sink will come into the back of the unit looking like that. So I don't want the pipe coming up in front of the wall, so we're going to have to chase that out, unfortunately. Same over here. I don't know what I've done with the 45. Bit weird. But there's a 45 that's meant to be here. The 45, again, will land up having a few different things on it. For instance, this one, which will be here, will have a reducer put in here. So 4 inch to 1.5 inch reducer that will go into here to connect these up together, making sure that that goes down, it can't go up. So we're going to have to chase out this to ensure we get the pipework sitting down. Then on the 45, which is going to be here, there'll be a bit of pipe that will sit along here. And again, in this corner here, you'll end up having something like that. So that will be coming up here. Then the toilet will sit up against the wall, and the pipe will come out and go down. So this is actually going to be that sort of height, but over here. All right? So that will be the toilet. And again, until we're finished, obviously this will be put in, it will seal it so that one, no concrete goes down it if the guys are going to be doing it, and two, you know, smell, etc., etc. So that's those two, that's that third. What else are we going to do? There was something else. There's a few little bits like this. There's some high points, which you need to get those off. This is making sure we get 5 inches of concrete straight over and nothing showing out. We don't really need to be running any hot and cold water down this wall until we're ready. All we need is the two hot and cold sitting here. It will feed the sink, it will feed the dishwasher. Then we can come along here, up and over. At some stage, this will be boxed up and the hot and cold will run along here, fed into the actual sink, cold into the toilet, and hot straight up the wall here with cold for the mixer for the shower. Should this ever become a room? There's still a question whether it ever will. And then once that's done, really, it's then plastering next. So we've got to secure all of these in place. So one thing we are going to be doing today is making up a cement and sand pug, just to physically hold some of these conduits into place so they don't move. When the concrete hits this floor, these are all going to be shattered around. So we're going to have to try and do something to just pug them in place to ensure they're held. And we're going to have to tread very carefully. So not tread. We're going to have to deal with them very carefully when the concrete's going on to ensure that none of them come apart, because all of these have got to be accessible. Let me know in the comments below whether you think I should be putting this sleeve that the hot and cold's going to run through above or under the conduits. In the moment, we're sort of more swaying towards having them above. But anyway, all this is a sleeve. So again, the hot and cold that's going to come through, apparently going to be 1/2 inch. I don't know why, but it'll be 1/2 inch hot. So anything yellow is for hot water. So we were trying to order a Schedule 80 pipework, which is a very thick pipework. I'm not too sure what that is. That feels quite thin. So this is the hot and cold. As you can see, you've got a wider cold than you have the warm. But anyway, he's going to be reducing that one down into a 1/4 inch, and this one as well. And both of them will go elbowed into this sleeve, and it will run all the way along. So he'll have to physically connect all these up together, feed through and connect up all the actual two pipes that are going to go through, then lay it down, and then elbow them here and elbow them over there and lay that down. So once that's down, he'll just have to obviously come up with the two tails, 2 taps, 2 caps. I mean, normally they put caps, but I would do something like this probably. Stick an on-off on there, and then put caps on the end of that. That's what I would do. But anyway, we'll see what he does. And then the glorious task of obviously getting all of this heavy wood out tomorrow. So we've got some big wood. So some 8x3s there, which are nearly 25, I think there might be 18s. An old garage door. So there's quite a few bits. Oh, there's the bit. I'm trying to find what was going mad. So that will be there. And to a certain extent, something like that. And that will be there, obviously up the right way. But anyway, bless showing. That's what he's going to be doing this morning. And then also in this corner here, we've had a bit of wet coming through. We've had the sprinklers on for the tree in the garden, which by the way isn't looking very good. We've had water coming through here, so we're now going to have to scrape that out as well, get underneath there, try and find out where the water's coming from, and then use a waterproof in with cement and sand and try and get as much in there as possible and hope that we can try and stop the water coming in. Then once this is laid and done, we're probably going to have to dig the corner out behind here of soil, go all the way down to this corner outside, get it completely cleansed and de-mudded, if that's such a word, and then we're going to have to put some form of waterproof concrete on the outside to stop the water coming through. So we're not too sure where it's coming through. It could be coming through at this height, could be coming in at this height, could be coming right down in this corner. We don't know. And at the moment, the mud outside is about here. So we're talking nearly 5 foot that we'll have to dig all the way down, and big enough to be able to get down into the corner, clean it all out and get concreted. So that's going to be a bloody mission. So anyway, that's our plan today. Obviously, dig out the main 3 pieces. One over there, one here, dig out this corner and try and find out what the hell's going on in there. Tomorrow, hopefully, the plumber will turn up and do the hot and cold, and then Thursday, obviously, and all the other stuff as well, and then hopefully Thursday we'll get the guys out and we'll start pouring. That's the goal. But I think at the moment what I should do is really delay the pour until next week if possible, to give us time to get everything done 100%. Let me know in the thoughts below as to what you think I should do. But anyway, I'll check out for now. Don't forget to give me some comments below. Thank you. Okay, let's have a 4 o'clock catch up. Okay, we've had to go and rent a bigger Hilti, basically, because it just our little one's just not man enough. So, and we actually thought that this had blown up as well, and it wasn't blown up. It was just a trip on a plug. So that wasn't needed either. So that's only about $70, but we'll have saved us renting that. So let me quickly spin it around and show you what we've done so far. Okay, so we've investigated this corner. So there does seem to be a little bit of a hole down in that corner, so I do think we need to do a little bit more investigatory meeting stuff there. So I'm not too sure what we can do, really just trying to dig out as much as we physically can and then getting as much waterproof concrete in as we can. All of these have now been straightened up and concreted in. You see the water here, so we've made them damp to make sure that obviously the old concrete doesn't absorb the moisture out of the new concrete. It just gives it time to cure and draw, as they say. The plumber hopefully is going to be coming in tomorrow to do things like this. It's really straightforward, we could do it ourselves, but I'd rather get a plumber in to do it. So that will be connected up obviously with a 90 over here, coming out the ground, ready for pour. That one's in place. Over here, the Hilti really did make easy work of this, so thank God we did go and hire it. And again, it was only 117 for a day, so not cheap, but again, it certainly saved us a lot of work. So that will obviously be where the drainage, God, smash the place up. So that will be in there like that. And then obviously we'll get some concrete in there tomorrow and make sure that's up. Again, that will be 45'd into here for a reducer and a little elbow. This one, what we've done, we've just laid a little bit of DPM on the floor with some cement, and then just laid the piece that we're looking to put in there into it, just to give it a little bit of support. So that will now go off. That will go off. It gives us the if you like, the base of where the actual pipe would sit. So we can go it all out to make sure we can get it all in there nicely. One thing we are going to struggle with a little bit is actually digging this pipe up a little bit to try and get all the dust and debris out from underneath. So as you can see over time, there's just been loads of bits underneath here, but obviously to pull this up, you're going to break that. So what we don't want to do is push that down onto stones, etc. So we need to try and pull it up as much as we can and try and get some fine brushes under there to get that out. And again, that will then go in and connect up via the reducers, obviously, into here. All the others exactly the same. We've just literally pugged them all in place to ensure they're all being held where they need to be. Obviously, it's not going to hold them 100%, but it will just stop them flopping around. And then what we can do tomorrow is get the DPM down on the floor after the plumbers have done their thing. In fact, I might do it before the plumbers. And then obviously they can connect up their 45s. Now, as I was saying earlier on in the video, we need 1/2 inch yellow, but they actually don't do it standard off the shelf in anything thicker than what's normal, which is madness. So obviously you can get schedule 40 piping in cold. I mean, things like that, look, for instance. It's not a bad thickness. I don't know what that is. It's not a schedule 40. I would say it's probably a 32. But again, it's a nice thick pipe. They don't do it in the hot water, but apparently they do it in air conditioning. So we've ordered quite a few from Woolsey's, which I think they've changed their name now. But yeah, lengths are really expensive. So I think it's about 1,000 Bayesian for about 20 lengths, of which I think they're about 19 feet. So we're going to try and use those for the roof, and I wanted them down here, but he's just basically saying just order normal thickness hot pipes. So I've got to go to Carter's a minute and go and get them, and apparently they're in 10-foot lengths. So I should be able to get them in the ute, and then bring them here, and then tomorrow here again, like I said, he'll put them in the sleeves down here and elbow them up and take them across. But it does mean in the concrete we're going to have standard hot water pipe. And from my point of view, I've witnessed myself hot water pipe with the heat from the solar expanding and creating like bubbles on the pipe. So that's the whole reason why I didn't want to be putting in the floor standard hot water pipe. But unfortunately, Woosleys have contacted me today. Well, I've contacted them, sorry. And we were meant to have had the pipe work in 2 weeks ago, and that was Monday just gone, or Friday last week, I can't remember. Anyway, it's not in yet, as always. So the Schedule 80 pipe we were going to put into the floor is unfortunately not here now. So we're going to have to use standard hot water pipe. So fingers crossed, in the concrete, in a sleeve, it will be okay and won't cause us any issues like we've had in the past with hot water pipe. The bubble that we found in the hot water pipe in the basement never burst. We managed to find it and we managed to turn the water off, get it cut out and get it repaired. But as you know, you might have watched in some of the videos, God bloody hell, it was probably around about 340, 330, something like that video. We actually had one of the hot water pipes burst in the wall, the cavity of the main house on the front of the house. So we had to cut a hole in the front of the house to get to the pipe work to repair it, and then had to brick all back up again. So where possible, if there's going to be pipe work that's going to be in the walls or certainly in sort of sleeves buried somewhere, try and use the thickest pipe possible. And make sure also, if you're not doing it yourself, that whoever's going to do it for you uses a very good primer, cleaner, to make the pipe porous. And you can get one that's like a purple colour, so you really can see it's been done. Then use the glue, then obviously put the fittings together, and then give them plenty of time to cure before you actually start pumping water and pressure through them. The sooner you put water and pressure through a pipe before it's glued, obviously the more compromised it becomes, obviously. So yeah, definitely clean them, definitely primer them, then glue them, stick them together, if you're using glue, that is, which is 95% of the connections here. And then just give it the time to make sure it cures. It cures within about an hour or two, but you really need to be leaving it 24 hours before you start putting pressure through it. That's what I would do. That's what we're going to be doing here. But obviously I'm very mindful we need to obviously get the pipes tested before we do it. So we want to make sure that there's no leaks. So we're definitely going to have to put some pressure through it quite quickly. So I am going to be talking to the concrete company and delaying till next week if I can. That's probably going to be our best bet. That way we get the pipe work in, we can make sure everything's finished and ticked off before we actually get the concrete poured. We can test the pipe work, make sure there's no leaks. And yeah, we should be good to go then. So, and obviously tomorrow we've got to get the waste done as well. So the waste up to the sink, the hot and cold to here, the reducer into the sink of what would be the bathroom, and the 45, the second 45 going into the toilet and the waste, and then the reducer going into what in effect would be the shower and that. In an ideal world, I would dig that back up. In fact, I might do that. It's really not major. We're at the stage where we are now, so it might be worth me getting a new trap. Let me show you. I know the trap's already in the floor and it's already bound in, but without being rude, it wouldn't be too hard to get that out completely and then change this. As you can see, it's a real thin, cheapy, tinny pipe, and just get it done properly. Just make sure it's got sort of the right run on it. Now that we're going to be putting 5 inches of concrete on here, you know, we've got the best part of this much thickness. We can make sure we get a nice height on it, make sure you get a good run. We want that water running properly. This is running, but by the time you put it down, it's not a great run. So I think, yeah, we're probably better off cangoing that up, getting a new trap put in there, get some thicker pipe work, get a better run. See you in the morning, Sherry. And then obviously taking that down into the reducer and connect it all up. I think that's what we're better off doing. So again, when I'm out in a minute, I'll see if I can find, I've got to go to Carter's anyway to get the hot pipe, so I'll get the actual trap for there as well. So that is it. So we're pretty much done for the day. It's been a bit of a dusty one, but it's not as dusty when we'd actually got in and got the actual Hilti, that's for sure. The disc grinder, oh my God, the dust was unbelievable. So good news is our grinder is not broken. Bad news is we spent money on hiring another grinder. But the actual, the Hilti, the bigger Hilti made an absolute breeze of that. And on that note, one thing I didn't cover very quickly is the actual beam itself that we were not going to cut because it's meant to be a supporting platform and base for upstairs. As you can see, we've cut into it quite a bit. We're not hitting any rebar at all, so we probably could have got away with cutting that back, cutting that all the way along, and just cangoing the whole thing out. A lot of concrete to get rid of, but I think that probably would have worked out quite well if we'd done that. So our only concern was we were going to hit rebar, and rebar would then be weak if we cut into it, but we've gone into it so far by 3/4 and we've not hit rebar yet. So it looks like this was just the actual external part of the, the cage probably sat inner bound, and obviously all of the rebar uprights would have come off of that. So I would say that it was actually in line with the wall itself, and as a result, the bit coming out this way was just surplus. But anyway, I bored you enough. I'll check out for now, get this uploaded, and update you tomorrow as and when the plumber comes and document what we're doing next. Thanks for watching.